Hello and welcome to Clipping In. It's Sunday, the 29th of October, and this is number 3 in the Sub 2 series. It was 7 degrees when I set off this morning. There's some watery sunshine. At least the forecast says it'll be sunny for the morning. And the clocks have just changed. Whoa, which means we're into the second half of autumn. I'm riding along Saddleworth Road, heading up towards Barkisland, Buckstones Junction. Then I'll be going along that skyline there, past Not Sarah, round to Outlane, through Stainland and back to Greetland, or Gretland if you prefer. I'm feeling this ride is going to be approaching 31 miles. Normally I'd say that'd be comfortably sub 2, but this time of year, my fitness, conditions today, winter bike, that's all my excuses in a row. I might overshoot a little bit, we'll see. I dare say I could time trial it, but then I wouldn't be filming, so that's not in the spirit of sub 2 either. Passing Barkisland Church and the War Memorial as the climb continues and the wind rises. Just on the right, that road which goes towards the cricket club, that's where Neil parked his car in July when we did that ride of the Saddleworth Hills nearly 4 months ago. Wow. One of my default rides is a 40 miler that goes over towards Ripponden, Windy Hill, Denshaw, and then Buckstones, and then descends the route that I'm going up now. But that's 40 miles, too far for a sub 2 series, I think. Even 20 years ago that was a 2 hours 15 ride. Nowadays it's a 2:30 ride. I suppose that's inflation for you. If we pan in that direction, the reservoir, you can see the M62. If I just lift the camera slightly, and panning it back that way, you can see the M62. I had to take my gloves off because the foam windshield on the GoPro plus gloves going into this winter jersey, there's just too much friction and I'm risking dropping it again. I can't get the camera in and out, so I've got to remind myself to just fit the top tube bag and leave it there. But for today, gloves off. Crossing the big Scamandon Bridge over the M62. You can imagine when the M62 was under construction, they were losing equipment in the marshes and bogs. Workers needed handrails to get from site to site. Such a wild place. I always feel on a ride when I've crossed this bridge, I've entered hill country, hallowed turf, even though I'm still on tarmac. Approaching Buckstones Junction, lovely views. Oh, the wind has made life quite hard on here. Taking a bit of time. Nice. There's a car park just there where you can stop and clamber around on the rocks. And now it's the road, the big long straight road ahead, the one that for a long time people thought was Roman, but more recent studies suggest that it's not. And this is heading really back towards Huddersfield now. Emily Moore Mast. A clearer view here than a few days ago when I was stood right underneath it. These moorland roads, they're just fantastic places, amazing. The real sense, as brief as it is, of having sort of broken away from normal places. I'm glad that I managed to squeeze a Buckstones ride into the sub 2 series. With the clock change, I still woke up at the old time, which was an hour earlier than the GMT. So I used it wisely, and I watched for the first time in years the old black and white Ken Russell biography of Edward Elgar. Worth watching if you haven't seen it. Lots of cycling scenes in the Malverns on those Worcestershire lanes. Nothing like Tommy. You could decide if that's a good or a bad thing. And it said that one of Elgar's most fruitful, productive compositional periods was between 1900 and about 1908, 1909, when he'd go for long cycle rides, up to 80 miles in some cases, on those Worcestershire lanes. And there was a quote, something like, he said, music's all around me, it's in the trees, it's everywhere. All I have to do when I get home is write it down. Wow. And that made me think of artists who said that inspiration comes in dreams. They wake up in the middle of the night and they have to grab a pen and paper and write down a few lines of a poem or a melody of a song. And it's as if Elgar is entering a kind of inspirational dream state on his bike, pedaling the lanes. A little gap in filming there. I opened up a little bit on the descent Stainhill and Dollywell Green just to try and claw a bit of time back, but then I've been meeting traffic and roadworks from Gretland Ellen Brighouse, so I lost it all. I'm on my usual Lower White Lane. That's been a little gem of a ride. Going to be maybe 29 and a half, 30 miles, something like that. And yeah, just the ticket, I think. Like I said, when you cross Scamandon Bridge, you've escaped for a bit. What I'll do, this is number 3 in the sub 2 series. I'll say goodbye for now and see you again for another clipping in very soon. Bye bye.